Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It is Geoff, Mosher, Adam Caplan. We got some great stuff in this podcast. We're going to, as long as you're still somewhat of a believer in the Philadelphia Eagles, this is great stuff, and you want Eagles content. They're playing the Bucs. It's the first round of the playoffs. It's a clean slate, Adam. And maybe if the Eagles have figured some things out this week in practice and can get some guys nice and feeling well and healthy, then this might even be not just a good game, but maybe even an Eagles win there. I don't think you and I would doubt that if you just compared the 53-man rosters of both of these teams, or just even the starting 22s, you would have to think the Eagles are better, right?
Well, the Eagles
maybe not on defense.
Yeah, the Bucs have a better defensive roster. But again, you'd have to. You don't do matchups like that. Obviously, teams don't look at it that way.
Of course,
but never do, never have, never will. It's not how you win football. But what you do look at is matchups, though. You look at how this side of the ball matches up against their side of the ball by personnel usage. And the Eagles have some major personnel issues. We learned a little bit, which we going to put out some of this today. It is Friday morning, and some of this stuff is correctable. You just talked about it. Like this week, they've got a longer week, and Nick Sirianni surprised everybody. Went pads on Thursday. What?
Yeah. Actually, I kind of had a feeling he might do that.
Why?
Yeah, because of how the team is playing.
Well, John DeFilippo talked about this in our Patreon. He talked about fundamentals and what you could brush up on. John said, because we talked about the bye they had in 2017. They gave him an extra time, but you'd hope this year, because they've had a lot of penalties and some games where there were bad penalties and obviously terrible tackling. He did talk about the fundamentals, and you know what? Going in pads gets you used to get ready, get that mindset. Okay, there's no way to measure it, how much this will impact, if at all, but you're setting the tone during the week with the extra day. But the personnel is interesting for both teams. Offensively, the Eagles have great personnel. There's no question. It's virtually the same as last year. Defensively, it's sure as hell is not. Big reason why they've fallen off, but the coaching is different as well.
It is. So there's a lot to unpack in this episode. We're going to preview the game. Of course, on Sunday morning, we'll have another Inside the Birds podcast that'll get everybody kind of updated on the injury situation, any last minute intel that he might have, matchups, things like that. And then, of course, Monday night, 5:00 p.m. on the Inside the Birds platform, social media platforms, YouTube, we will have Inside the Birds pre-game live. Myself, Adam, Greg Cosell, Jason Avant, and then directly after the game, myself, Adam, and Clay Harbor will be doing Inside the Birds post-game live. So definitely a lot to cover there. Look forward to that. It's been a great week this week on Inside the Birds. Man, Q&A finally dropped, and they came with it. It's really good stuff. And listen, it's not just anybody who knows Q&A, and the same thing with Inside the Tape with Greg Cosell and Clay Harbor. They don't just, MF the whole team. Like, they really go into a big and a really good in-depth breakdown of what they were seeing. And Adam, I don't know, I feel like even Greg came out of his shell a little bit in Inside the Tape and was like, I cannot believe we're seeing this, that, and the other. So it's not, Greg likes to just sort of like, I'm not one of the coaches, but he really got fired up about some of the things he saw against the Giants.
It's egregious. And I'm looking at the notes we got from sources around the league. One team was more than happy to give some stuff, which I didn't hear Greg and Clay show yet, so I'm definitely listening today. Some of the things that are happening on defense. Yeah, the players aren't executed well. We all know that, but Matt Patricia's doing some of the stuff he did when he was an offensive play caller. We're going to talk more about this on the pregame show. He did some things that the players kind of rebelled against him because he tried to change up Josh McDaniel's offensive scheme a little bit, which is ridiculous because he doesn't have anything to do with offense. He's never done anything. He's really done very little on offense. He's never even close to calling plays. Quarterback. We're seeing some things here, folks. He's doing some things he shouldn't be doing. I'm kind of floored by what they're asking these guys to do. It's hard to do this in season. It's just hard to do this when you want to not completely overhaul the defense, Fangio, but he's bringing a lot of his stuff that he does. Players just not executing. It's hard to ask guys to do this when you don't have an offseason.
I don't know what you're talking about because Matt Patricia and Nick Sirianni both said in their press conferences that it's really nothing all that different. I mean, it's just a few little wrinkles here and there. Go ask Josh Sweat about the wrinkle of having not only to drop into a zone, but then try to figure out who's the number 2 and the number 3 in a bunch or a trips formation.
I mean,
come on.
I don't know, man. I don't know how this is. I don't know how the next thing next year when they have the new defensive coordinator. If they want to keep Fangio, and it's a young coach, they must have a senior defensive assistant who has run Fangio before. Don't bring that guy in. If this is the mistake, I get it. Patricia is run. Both Fangio and Belichick's are a 34 in base, but they don't. Philosophy is completely different. They don't. It's just different. And plus, the Eagles to run the Patricia defense slash New England, you got to be really big up front, like really big, stout. You're there to stop the run up front. That's not the way this defense is built.
Yeah, no, you're right. Very, very much so. All right. Also, let's talk about our Patreon. We had our live stream again, our Ask ITB live stream. It went great. We're going to be doing that every week until the Eagles season is over. Please do not any insert jokes here until the Eagles season's over. So, and also we're going to do, this is an experimental thing, and it was Adam's idea. So I'm blaming him right away if this doesn't go well, if it's angry, if they're just, if you get bad vibes. But we're going to do an Ask ITB live stream right at halftime of the Eagles playoff game against the Bucs. So join us, join all. If you're a Patreon member, you can do that at patreon.com/InsideTheBirds. And I will say recently, our Ask ITB live streams have had a lot. We've gotten great participation, more people showing up than ever before, and less questions and more sort of rants. But that's all right, because that's what we're doing. We're just, everybody's talking it out right now.
Very respectful rants, though.
Yeah, really respectful, really good rants, but they're rants.
We're not looking for a bunch of people screaming. That's not what we're smart people.
Right.
Smart rants. We like that. That's why we created this concept, and it's we appreciate everybody's support. And then Flips, D Flippo's interview with him, it was over half an hour, and we covered 15 different things. He knows the Fangio. He knows the Bulls defense because Todd tried to hire him away from the Eagles. Eagles blocked him.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to hire him as his offensive coordinator, I think. It's 16.
Mm-hmm.
Blocked him.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about those challenges of going against the cover zero, which is what the Giants and Bucs do. They're heavy blitz. But the bottom line is John knows these what you have to do to beat that. And we talked about blitz beaters and so forth. And we talked about the Super Bowl run, and one of the things that absolutely floored me, and I understood it better when he explained it, but man, he really does think he doesn't like the short week. Obviously, the next week if he could, but he likes that extra day. He says there's plenty you can do, and if you're on Patreon, you can listen to his answer.
Yeah, no, it's really good. John's been excellent with the insight and sort of the coach's mentality of what he would think or do in certain situations. It's been great. All right. So again, that's patreon.com/InsideTheBirds. And we have some amazing announcements about more things we're going to add to the platform coming up soon. All right. So stay tuned for that. All right. Inside the Birds, of course, is brought to you by our friends at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. It's the exclusive Jersey Shore resort of Inside the Birds. Let's pause for a moment to hear from them now.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
All right. Let's talk about injuries, Adam. And obviously there are a lot of big names here, from Jalen Hurts to AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, who is finally back, and that's a good thing. But where do you want to go with? Let's begin with Jalen Hurts and this finger issue where he was limited in Wednesday when they decided to. No, I'm sorry, he was Thursday, right? He did not practice. He talked to the media and said
He did.
I'm sorry. All right. He was limited on Thursday, right? I meant to say he wasn't there for the media portion. They were reporting that they didn't see him, but he wound up doing some things. But this one is tricky, man. I sense he'll play, then they're just trying to preserve it. But what I wonder is just how much he'll be able to grip and rip that ball.
There you go. That's the issue. The issue is not in playing. He's playing. The issue is how well he could throw it. Now, he wore a glove on his right hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's his right middle finger. Obviously, it helps with grip. Oh, now the other thing is, we're the weather guys here. Now, again, this is Friday morning. We're talking here. We'll update it Monday morning. We do our mini show. But right now, again, I know it could change. It's Florida, it's Tampa. It could change in 5 minutes. But right now, it's projected to rain. So you take the right middle dislocation.
Mm-hmm.
He may or may not wear the glove or grip you mentioned during the game. That's not good. Rain and having to wear a glove because his middle finger is dislocated. That doesn't sound good.
No.
So learn more over the weekend, and we'll update the weather report. It's all about hour by hour. As I've always said, who cares what happens before the game? It's what happens during the game. 3 hours. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. Should be over by 11-ish. So we'll take a look at what the weather report hour by hour is Monday morning. But this is not good. This is not good. He's been very inconsistent this season. He needs help here, and now he's got to deal with this injury, and it could rain. So we'll see what happens.
Or plot twist, Adam. We always talk about Jalen Hurts injuries, right? And how the shoulder, the ankle, the collarbone, now the finger. We always talk about how rough these injuries are on a quarterback. And then the guy goes out and balls out whenever he has an injury, right? Like we joked earlier in the year about somebody asking Nick Sirianni at the press conference if he noticed that every time Jalen Hurts is hurt, he plays better. So, and Nick's response was, well, I'll have to look into that and see what kind of results.
Yeah,
What
when he said that, I see sometimes head coaches try to placate the media just to get them to shut up and just move on. So, oh yeah, sure, I'll look into that. Like they're not. He actually seemed genuine. I happened to see that press conference, and I watched his face. I'm like, I actually think he was serious. Yeah, I'm sure
I think he was.
But anyway, but look, he's also played well when he's had an illness. I've noticed that. But you never know. This offense has been so wildly inconsistent. I honestly, we'll get into the matchups and the personnel matchups and so forth. I just don't know what to expect from him, quite frankly. This is like last year was like so obvious. He was great. He was elite. Bombs away. They take it away from him. People complain about the play design. I know I understand that. Some of that's fair, some of it's not fair, but I get it. It doesn't look as good. It's funny. If you look at social media, they want to blame everyone. Okay, it's all Jalen. It's half of Jalen. It's mostly Sirianni. It's some Brian Johnson. It's all Brian Johnson. They don't know who to blame anymore.
It's like a new person every show.
You know what it is? It's the Boston Scott spin the wheel for the carries. They replaced it with who do you want to blame for the play calling the offense.
Yeah. And ironically, and I'm sure we'll get to it in a second. I mean, the play caller now has 2 interviews lined up to interview for a head coaching job.
One for sure. The other one is speculation. The other one's unofficial. The Panthers are definitely, as we first reported it in the spring.
Right.
The Panthers looked into Brian Johnson. They were going to pair him up with Brian Johnson to be his OC if he needed a name.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess somehow they found out that Johnson was being promoted, so they backed off. Panthers first told me, but bottom line is they got to get it together. It's. Do you believe in this ability? I think we briefly touched on it last show. Do you believe in this ability that Sirianni talked about, how they could just put everything behind them and somehow it's all going to be okay?
No. Although, we did talk about how we've seen some teams snap out of it in the past and figure it out on a turn of a dime, but never, I've seen that in the middle of the year, never at the end of the year when you finish 1-5, you just snap out of it and make a great run. I mean, maybe it's happened before, but I can't think of it. And if it's happened before, usually it's because you get a great player back who was missing for a while. I remember the Colts with Bob Sanders. He came back and all of a sudden they were so much better on defense. I think we talked about that recently or in the live stream. I mean, Darius Slay will be back. But I don't think that they were playing well enough even with Slay all year long to say that's going to be some kind of great catalyst. So no, I don't believe in, and by the way, Jason Avant addressed that as well. I mean, guys who played the game say, and Clay Harbor made the same exact point that it's very, very hard in this league to just snap your finger and turn it around. And that also is sort of an assumption that you were playing great beforehand. And even though the Eagles were 10-1, their defense certainly wasn't playing great. And there were issues with either red zone at time or explosive offense. So no, not the way this team has been all year. Do I expect them to snap their finger and rattle off 4 straight wins here?
That's why I brought it up, because I just think it's unrealistic. Okay, they were 10-1, but we all knew they were wildly inconsistent. It's for both sides of the football progressed. Special teams is the best part of this team. It's not good. It's good that they're doing well, but that's not what you want. But the bottom line is they've got injuries. You mentioned Hurts. Swift is going to play. I find it interesting that he's still listed with the illness. Boy, that must have been some illness that he had. Whatever it was.
Yeah,
But,
it really must have.
He's good to go to 12 reps. Now, here's where it gets murky. A.J. Brown, it's his right knee. Now, he got the injury, if you see, it's the side of his right knee, which typically is MCL territory.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets on the field, that you're not getting, there's zero chance he would play with a grade 2 MCL. You just can't. Grade one will be very questionable to play. He could play, but if he does get clear to play, it's so hard to know how well he could do. I don't know. It's hard. I don't buy this. Oh, he was up reading the players. Okay, well, we knew it wasn't an ACL, but that doesn't mean he's good to go.
Right.
Careful. Just because you see video of him reading the players, it's not good.
No, that's tough.
It's funny how people are running with, oh yeah, I'm like, let's just see. So today's Friday.
Yeah.
Practice today and practice tomorrow, walk through Sunday. I would be very dubious of him playing if he doesn't even get limited. If he's limited, chances are better that he'll play.
Mm-hmm.
I assume coming in the week that he gets some limited work in. But again, it's only the first day that gives him extra time to prepare and get the knee right. But I'm worried about this one. I would be worried about it. I'm not worried about Devontae Smith, though. He's good.
Well, that is good. So if you get DeAndre, you get Devontae, you're at least feeling a little bit better about the state of your offense. But obviously, A.J. Brown, huge in this situation. So we'll see. Good that Cam Jurgens, who had the eye thing going on, is fine. He didn't even miss any practice, at least on the first practice report. So that's always good news as well.
Not even on the injury report, just so you know. He's playing. Britton Covey, this is the new one. Here you go, the pop-up injury. Limited Thursday, barring something unforeseen, he should be in there. It's a groin injury, by the way, so we'll keep an eye on that. Defensively, this is the big one. You alluded to start the show. Blankenship did not work Thursday. More day-to-day. We'll have to see. He's missed time, as we know, with rib injuries and concussion. We have to take a look at this one, and this is where it's at, folks. Tristan McCollum is getting ready if Blankenship can't play.
Man, that's scary. I don't want to beat the dead horse. We already talked about this, but I really don't understand how how Howie Roseman and this front office, this management group did not have something, whether it's a workout, a veteran on the practice squad. I don't know how they look at the team right now and think that they will be fine with the current state of safeties. If I didn't know better, I'd know better. If I didn't know better, if I were like someone from Minnesota and I was just analyzing this, I would say, man, they must not expect to win, or they must not think that they're going to be competitive, because who doesn't address such a glaring deficiency with at least a practice squad veteran? But the Eagles haven't done that.
I agree. The only thing I'll say, I don't want to defend the decision. I agree with you, but I know they have guys who can do it. Maddox can do it if you need him to. It's not ideal. You don't want to take him playing being their nickel corner, having him back with his speed. By the way, his elbow's fine. He overextended a couple weeks ago. He wore protection for it. He's not even on the injury report. But here are their options. It's move Garner up, who played safety earlier this season. Josiah Scott could do it. And I didn't say it's ideal, folks. I didn't say that. It's not what you really want to do. But they do have alternatives. None of them are good. This safety position, man, what a disaster this is.
It's really bad. And think about this. It's bad now. Like, what if somebody gets hurt during the game? Like, I just
don't jinx him, man. What are you doing?
No, I mean, listen, we said this going into last game, and then
and
then he got hurt.
Well, so they have till Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, or Monday night game at Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Garner must be getting practice reps. We'll look into it. Has he done it before?
Right.
But see,
or Josiah Scott. I mean, Josiah Scott's there too, but I mean, they didn't want to play him over McCollum.
But and McCollum got some important reps in the second half. But on your point, and we'll move on a second, if Fire gets hurt and Blankenship doesn't play, it's an absolute nightmare. And Mike Evans, by the way, Mike Evans is on a contract drive here, folks. This could look really ugly on the back end based on the spacing the Eagles are giving up, which it looks like the cavern. They better tighten some things up here. Patricia better do that.
Definitely. All right. As far as some other names, all good to go so far. Not on the injury report. Jordan Davis, Zach Cunningham, Hassan Reddick, and Avante Maddox. So for the first time in a while, at least that part, some of those guys, the front end linebacker unit look pretty good here, Adam.
Yeah. So Davis, the 4 players you mentioned were all in the injury report last week. They were no longer on it. Davis with the ankle. Cunningham, this is the big one. Zach Cunningham with the knee. So that means he came out of the last game healthy. The knee's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Hassan Reddick had an illness, and we said the elbow hyperextension with Maddox. And then for the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers. I like that.
Baker Mayfield, look, he described, like, it's interesting. He has a new injury. He hurt his ankle in the first quarter of the last game.
Mm-hmm.
So he said that ribs are slow to heal. You can tell by coaching tape. This is what pro personnel people do. They won't find the exact area where you got hit. They'll look for it if they can find it. They're going to go. It's their job to go through the all 22. That's what we were explaining.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's explained to us. They'll go through every piece of tape to find out when he got hurt. Is it his left, center, or right area of his ribs? They'll figure out what ankle in the first quarter he got hurt. And this is given to the coaches. So that, and obviously the B-line coach, Washburn and Rocker, so they know this. It's important to know that. And then, so that's that one he's playing, but he's going to be beat up. He's not played well the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And Tristan Wirfs has an illness, and he's done a good job moving from right to left tackle. There's some questions where they could do it. Neither of those guys practiced, but they are both expected to play. And boy, the Bucs are so much more healthy than they were in week 3 when the Eagles beat them.
Yeah,
the Eagles pushed them, but they were beat up in that.
Yeah, you think, I mean, they were without, I think, both their corners in that game, and then one of them got hurt in the game. One of their corners got hurt, and then Kalijah Cansey didn't play in that game. So they are way healthier this time around. So again, that's just another challenge that the Eagles.
Well, yeah, actually, Dean did play. You're right though. He got hurt in the game.
Yeah.
Got hurt. Zion McCollum did start, Kristen's brother. The Eagles went after him, and that game, Cansey didn't play. Vita Vea had a calf injury. He was shell of himself. He didn't play well. They it's almost like they knew it. He wasn't ready, and they ran all over the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know everyone's like, I did 2 or 3 interviews this week just on this game. What do you think of this? I don't agree with it. I think it's going to be more of a throw ball game. The Eagles rarely come out running. What they do is if they're successful, they may stick with it. If they have any non-success, forget it. They're going to throw it. How would you attack? We're done with injuries here. So one thing I'll throw to you before we get to the matchups is, what should be their philosophy?
Okay. I have a long answer on that. So I'm going to give you that answer in a second. First, I'm going to remind everybody that, this has been a very difficult stretch for Eagles fans. It really sucks. But something that also sucks is trying to find good tickets online. And that's why you need Game Time app, the fast, easy way to buy tickets for sporting events, concerts, theater shows near you. All right. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets, because right now on the Game Time app, you're just 2 taps away from tickets to see local sports teams, comedy shows, concerts, whatever you want to do to get out. All right. The best part is Game Time offers event cancellation protection and job loss protection. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. They've got all in prices that show you the total up front, and you get to see the view from your seat. To me, that's the best part about it. You know exactly what to expect at checkout. Game Time's obsessed with helping you save money. They got the zone deals that let you pick the section while Game Time picks the seats for the best savings. Then there's the Game Time guarantee, where if you find tickets in the same section and row for less money, Game Time credits you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code BIRDS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and use the redeem code BIRDS, BIRDS, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, so you ask a good question. Let's get into the Eagles offense versus Tampa Bay defense. We know the Bucs are going to blitz. They had the third highest blitz rate in the NFL. And when they played in week 3, we have a great story on InsideTheBirds.com. Our analytics intern, Sam Finkel, did a great job researching this and putting a good story up. So everybody should read it. Hurts was blitzed on 61% of his dropbacks against the Bucs. You know what? I think Todd Bowles is going to look at that and say, I think we need to blitz more than 61% this time because the Eagles are struggling so much with it. So to answer your question, I really do think that the Eagles need to get back to, I know they want to do it. I know there's going to be one-on-one opportunities. There has been in each of the last 3 or 4 games, and the Eagles are not hitting on them. Either Jalen's not seeing it, Devontae Smith has dropped some, AJ Brown's dropped some. I think they need to get back to a basics type of game. And a blitzing defense is the perfect one to do your 12 personnel, run your RPOs, get your running game going, the little play action, whatever you got to do, and then open it up into your throw ball game once you have established, Adam, some kind of rhythm or comfort. If you come out trying to go bombs away and take advantage like you used to do, they can't. They haven't been able to do it. So don't even try it.
Okay. Really?
That's what I would do, because you might even hit on it once or twice, but that doesn't mean you've got your rhythm going.
I'm going after Jamel Dean. I mean, that's the guy you go after. Carlton Davis is back from his concussion. He played last week, so he didn't play in the first matchup. Couple notes from one of the teams that gave some incredible film stuff. I'll give you some now. We'll give you some on Monday night. But Eagles last week struggled with short protection and slide protection beaters.
Definitely.
This is the first time that Wick Martindale, the former Giants D coordinator, really got them. According to one pro personnel source, they figured out the Eagles' protection scheme, and they were a little bit predictable, and they figured it out, and he got him, and he didn't stop. Teams are killing them in against cover 0, starting back in the 49ers game. Teams that played the Eagles since then have figured it out. Blitz, and more blitz. And these teams are willing to take the risk because the Eagles cannot get the ball downfield for some reason. By play structure, they're just not getting it downfield, and they're not beating cover 0 like they killed cover 0 last year. I don't know what the hell the problem is. We got your answer for hot routes. Eagles run China, which is 5-yard hitch. That is their blitz helper or hot route. They don't have your traditional hot route, but this is in most of the plays according to our pro personnel source. On Eagles this season. Said he goes, it's always in there. You see Goddard get it. And we're going to talk to Yvonne about the China route. But this pro personnel source said it's this guy's job is to evaluate. It's in there. So for people wondering what their hot route is, this is it.
So Greg also did it. Greg and Clay did an excellent job of explaining why people are using the hot route term just a little bit too much. You don't use a hot route against every blitz. If it's a 5-man pressure, your 5 men should be able to block it up front. If it's a 6-man pressure and you have a back or a tight end in, you should be able to. It's really only for those all-out blitzes, or if it's a 6-man pressure and you're not keeping somebody in, then your running back becomes an option, or as you just said, China becomes the option, which again is the quick hitch route. If you go back and look at the Giants game, there were some opportunities, some underneath guys against heavy blitzes. There were times where Jalen Hurts didn't show the recognition of it. There were times that I think people would agree if they watched the whole thing that the lack of having Devontae Smith and AJ Brown hurt, because I just don't think Olamide Zaccheaus and Julio Jones did a great job of getting off press coverage in certain situations.
By the way, on your point, that's a great point. I don't know why the hell I didn't say that. That's obviously part of what Wink saw. He's like, look who I'm going up against. Let's go.
Yes.
But that's what he always does. But the thing I don't understand is what this has nothing to do with them having those receivers, because that's the part I don't understand is why was he able to break their protection so well? Why have they struggled so badly against cover 0? The teams have found something. This season they found something where the Eagles absolutely murdered the competition last year. Their passing game it was incredible last year. It was like week after week, bombs away, as you mentioned, bombs away. No one stopping it. Teams
Yeah.
have figured this out. I hate to use that term, but they have. And look, we talked to this guy. I think you actually may have run into this guy at the combine with me. But this guy was very generous. He said, "Listen, I got a lot more for you based on my tape study. It's one of my teams." I'm like, okay. And he said that they're really struggling getting the ball downfield. Hurts is not seeing it well. He's not taking what's there sometimes. That's not a coaching issue, folks. Nothing to do with coaching. It's on him. This guy did say that they need to get more sophisticated with Devontae Smith's route just getting him open.
Yes.
They could do better than last year.
Mm-hmm.
But Hurts is not playing great. Okay, but let's people blame the coaches. I mean, you got to stop. It's not right. It's not factual based on tape study. I didn't say this team's great.
Yeah, and you're not saying the coaches aren't a part of the problem. They're just not the only people. There's a faction who say that Jalen Hurts is getting killed by the coaching and that's all their fault. The coaching is bringing him down, and that's not what the tape shows. The tape shows there are plenty of plays also where his awareness or lack thereof is hurting the team. And again, there were plays last where the offensive line is not protected like it has in the past. There were some stunts and twists that did not get picked up. Now you could say, yes, that does hurt the quarterback. So that's not on him, but that just shows you this thing is a multi-layered issue right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I just wanted to put that out there because we're a tape-based show. Like last year, when we get tape notes from our sources, we go, here's what the tape showed. Here's what we're told it looks like. We're even way more tape-based because the people we're working with, obviously. Q&A, and Cosell, of course, and Clay, and obviously we have better sources on the stuff this year with tape studies. So the tape doesn't lie. And the quarterback has not played well, very inconsistent. He's really not. I don't know if I'd have to look at this up. I wonder if he's had any elite games this week. He had obviously some really good games, but I don't remember a stretch where he's played elite football like he did last year, where he was unstoppable.
No, that's fair. It's fair. Last thing, we'll close it off on Eagles offense. There's two things I observed, or two things I want to hit on. One, I really think the quick game and the RPO game is important to get Dallas Goedert more involved. If there was something that sort of jumped out at me watching the Giants game, is that I just felt like, I know he's not a Travis Kelce like route runner. That route running is not his thing. But to me, I thought he lost some of his he didn't explode out of his stance and out of his breaks. And I thought maybe he got caught up in the malaise. He's the one actually after the game who said maybe we just clinched, right? And we've been a little bit lackadaisical. In fact, that's ironic now that I think about it, because I just think that he can be better and more explosive, but you got to involve him. I think when he doesn't get involved, he sort of then subconsciously he just kind of himself disappears from the game. I think that's really important to get him involved early.
We've seen that. It's funny you mentioned that because years ago, it might have been against Washington. I just remember there was a streak where he wasn't getting the ball, and then all of a sudden they got him involved early, and he was unstoppable. The Jets game, remember, he was not this year, but I remember this Jets game 2 years ago. I remember we were doing a show from Rivers, and he had a monster game. It was actually with Minshew, and they didn't stop getting him the football. You actually make a great point here. I had not thought about that, because he's a really good athlete. If you get him in space. Because let's get into the matchups here. So when you look at this situation, they don't have great. Ryan Neal, former Eagle, by the way, is a tall safety. He might be on him. Well, we'll ask Cosell and Avant what they think about the matchups. Devin White got his job back after getting benched.
Yeah,
but I could absolutely see Goddard here, whether it's a blitz beater, if they could protect. I could absolutely see him have a good game. He got 7 targets in the first game. I remember in that first game, look at my notes here. They missed him a couple times in big plays.
Yeah, I remember that too.
So the other thing is, as we roll in these matchups here, the Bucs run defense, which was inconsistent in the first half, they're really much better now. Now, they're not great though. Chuba Hubbard had a decent game against him, over 80 yards. They did shut down the Saints run game. But they're not unstoppable like we've seen in the past. It's not like you can't run against them. And we know with the Eagles, they crushed them over 200 yards in that first game. And I know that it's hard for Swift to catch the ball because he's not going to be in there. I don't know that he'll catch any this week because, quite frankly, it's really hard. That's why Gainwell's in there. I totally get that. But man, if they're sending an all-out blitz, you got to dump the ball off here. You got to figure out a way to help. They got to help Hurts out here.
Yeah, they do. So that stuck out to me. And then as we look at the matchups, you know, the Bucs used to be a lot of they used to be a big man defense team with all their blitzing. It started last year. They play a lot more zone now behind their blitzes than most teams that blitz as much as they do. So I think that makes me sort of fearful of what a guy like Antoine Winfield can do, because you're asking him not to cover man on man a lot, which is not his strength, but his strength is playing in space, finding the ball when it's in the air. I believe he has 6 interceptions at him this year for a safety, which is just unbelievable. I mean, for a safety to have 6 interceptions because of acumen, by the way, not because the ball just found his hands like Anthony Harris a couple of years ago.
Like his dad, man. I'm telling you, his dad. Remember his dad moved to safety.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. Yeah. We have a couple of like pressures. I mean, he'll also blitz. He's got the second most pressures among safeties, first most sacks among. Is it 6 sacks that he has? What did I say? Interceptions? I'll go check to make sure I'm right. But either way, this guy, if I was to pick one guy that I'm a little worried about against this Eagles offense, it would be Antoine Winfield, because he's just had a great year. Somehow, I think he didn't make the Pro Bowl, but made All Pro. Is that what happened? That always happens to somebody. All Pro is much more of who you are than Pro Bowl. Yeah. Pro Bowl is just a popularity contest. But that's the guy I worry about, Adam, because he's having a heck of a career so far.
Well, okay, a couple things here. They've gotten crushed by a lot of tight ends. Kittle crushed them. The Falcons tight ends crushed them. Tucker Kraft scored against them. I'm looking up the tight end numbers they've given up. It's on every week, but they've had some really bad games against tight ends. So that's good for Goddard. The kid Eisen is a great story as an undrafted free agent who's played some nickel for them. He was their nickel earlier this season. He's around the ball and does a good job. We'll see if they go after him. Jamel Dean is finally healthy. He's had a rough year. He's the guy that teams go after. Not Carlton Davis is really good, number 24.
Yeah.
Ryan Neal signed a decent free agent contract. I don't know why the Eagles didn't give him a chance at a major mistake. Yeah.
By the way, so with Winfield, it's not 6 interceptions. It's 6 sacks.
Oh, wow.
He also has 6 forced fumbles, NFL high. 6 I'm a safety to have lead the NFL. This is Dawkins like 6 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and 8 quarterback hits. This guy is a threat, man. The Eagles need to have hit the red circle around him all game long and make sure they know.
I agree with you. Yeah, you got to know where he is. No, you're absolutely right. We'll talk to the guys about that. We'll think pretty good show. But because where he lines up, I'd like to know. But so they're 70% zone. They play a ton of their predominant zone coverage is cover 3, almost 40% cover 3, and they're very predictable with it. Cover 3 beaters are tight ends. That's why tight ends kill them, because cover 3 is the absolute seam for tight ends. This has been every coach I've talked to says cover 3 beaters tight end, cover 3 beaters tight end. You can't always get it, but as we said, Goddard missed some, so keep an eye on that. So look, here's what's coming, folks. Okay. Eagles have to protect better. Got to block better up front. Hurts has got to be on point. If they get off the good start running football, keep doing it. Mix and match. I get it. If they're not running well, throw it, because you can throw it. But take what they give you. Take and off a bit. Because when we talk about Mayfield, they're one of the heaviest play action teams.
Right.
But I'm very interested to see how they're going to handle this, because I'm choosing to trust Sirianni is learned from how bad the offense is, or how inconsistent, the offense has been. I'm so interested to see what their plan is.
Oh, you and me both, my friend, because they got a lot of things that they got to patch up by Monday. All right, let's talk about this Eagles defense against the Buccaneers offense. One of the things about the Bucs offense that, in just what I've seen recently compared to week 3, we have to remember they're on a new offensive coordinator. Dave Canales came over from Seattle. We talked about it a lot. That meant there's going to be an emphasis on run. There's going to be 12 personnel, 13 personnel at times. And there was all of that in week 3. It seems like they are I think first of all, Baker Mayfield's doing a better job of navigating the pocket. He used to get stuck in the pocket. I think he still does, but he does, but he's better now at getting away from traffic and extending a play a little bit. And I feel like they're a little bit more trustworthy in him. Now he'll have a terrible game like he did against New Orleans a couple weeks ago.
Oh, first half he was awful. Then he went off. Second half they're way behind.
Yeah. But the man can get the ball to Mike Evans. We know that. Evans had about five drops in that game against the Eagles, including I think a touchdown. Maybe more than one touchdown.
He's dropped too many touchdowns, but he's also had a great year.
He's got 13 touchdowns, right?
He's had an awesome year. He's on a contract drive. And by the way, the Eagles, their zone defense is still up. They're playing less man. They're also still heavy. They're very heavy cover 3. They play decent amount of cover 1. And by the way, Baker Mayfield, number 1 coverage he best against is cover 1.
Yeah. So, well, the Eagles stats say that they're a heavy cover 3, but that's mostly from the Desai. I mean, Patricia has played a lot more 2-shell since he took over. He's just got a small.
They're still right.
Yeah, I mean they'll still do one high every once in a while, but he's more 2-shell than Desai was. Desai was I'll start off in 2-shell, but I'll eventually roll to a cover 1 look, or a cover 3.
They're heavy cover 1, and here's why Baker's so good at that. With cover 1, you know exactly what it is. You have to define for Baker.
Yeah.
Because you'll see he rolls out a ton because he's a smaller quarterback. He rolls to the right. It's kind of like with Jared Goff. You can't give him a lot to decipher. Create the space, roll him out, define it for him, and he's really good. On your point, when the first read's taken away, he runs around, he doesn't know what to do, and he gets hit. And that's the thing with the Eagles here. If Patricia's going to run his concepts, which he's doing, it's supposed to make the quarterback hold on the football, and you're supposed to get home. That's not been happening. They're trying it, but it's not working.
Yeah, not working at all. So I think we talked about this last podcast. If I were running the Eagles D, I would basically just play a 2 deep zone for most of the game, first and second down, and then if I get them in some third, I'll pressure but I would stop doing they have like 3 different dime packages with Ringo and Ricks on the outside and Bradbury inside, or Roby on the inside instead of Bradbury, or Roby on the outside and Ricks on the. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're throwing guys out there in the same package, just different personnel. I would completely shut that off. I would play Bradbury, Slay, Maddox inside. My 2 linebackers are Morrow and Cunningham. Go ahead. You're going to throw against my zone because I'm not very fast. I'm not dynamic, but maybe my front 4 will finally wake up and get a little bit of, pressure there, because it's Baker Mayfield. I mean, come on, but that's what I would do. But I don't think that's what the Eagles are going to do, Adam. I think they're going to keep doing what they've been doing the last 3 weeks and hope that they get better.
I don't understand. We're going to talk more about this pregame trip, but folks, I'm telling you, what we're told is the guys are hesitating. They're not quite where they should be all the time, and it only takes one mistake or one guy to be slightly late. Another source said Carter and Davis up front. The tape, it's all tape based, folks. So it's nothing personal, but they're trying to make splash plays. The effort is not quite as good as the first half tape study from one of the sources we spoke with. And one of the sources says he does not think they're worn down despite how many snaps they're playing. They may think they're worn down. I can't speak for them, but tape shows that the effort is the juice and the legs is not like it used to be. So if people want to know what's going to be going on, this is part of it. They need to get the energy back. I don't know what it is. Again, the tape, there's no way you can tell if they're worn down from tape. Unless they're obviously, part of it's Davis is playing too high a lot. That could be that he's worn down.
Yes.
But you can't really tell. It's like one thing, in basketball when guys are holding their hips and they're tired, that you can see. But again, off of all 22, it looks like the effort's not quite as good as it used to be earlier.
Well, I think you got 2 things going on, Adam. I mean, I think anybody can plainly see that they're struggling so much on the back end that quarterbacks are not being asked to hold on to the ball very long. I mean, God, how many breakdowns did we talk about against the Giants where all Tyrod Taylor had to do is throw it over the middle to a wide open guy because you had some guys thinking one coverage and other guys thinking another coverage, and that's happening too much. But I was going to say the one thing that So again, when that happens, it's hard to get sacks and pressures. But I do think Josh Sweat, we talked about it, and even Clay and Greg and Jay and Kier, they've all mentioned it. We've talked about it a little bit, but them more. And now I'm finally seeing it. I really studied it. I think he looks like something's bothering him. I don't speculate on injuries. We know about his knee situation. We said for ever since I drafted him, he was going to be bone on bone, and we'll see. There was a time where we doubted he might get a second contract, and he's persevered and he's done great, and he's been our favorite guy to watch. But clearly over the last 6 or 7 weeks, and watching him, his get off at him, he looks like he's leaning like on the right leg and I don't know, the left leg doesn't seem to go jump off like the rest of his body. I don't know.
Okay,
But you could just tell.
Here's my note of what you just said. I just happen to have this in my note from another source. Sweat looks mechanical in his movement. His leg looks heavy, not explosive like last season. He seems to be wearing a brace. This is off from all 22. Apparently you can see it. I'm gonna go look at it. I just want to see. He might have been wearing it all season. Who the hell knows? He might have been wearing it recently, but it appeared to be in recent tape that he's wearing some sort of sleeve or brace. He doesn't look right. I don't know. I mean, You just talked about it. Other guys saw the tape too. Doesn't look right. That's a shame. This has nothing to do with coaching. He just no. I know that they're asking him to drop a coverage, which is ridiculous. Or maybe more than he ever had. It's not something they really did last year with Gannon. A little bit, very little.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know what's up with him. So we wish him 94 sweaty. We'll see what happens here. I don't know. This is it's hard. It's really hard to talk anything. I don't have anything positive to say about the defense. To be honest, I'm looking for stuff. I just don't have it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, I think you and I both expect. I think the guy, Mike Evans is the guy to watch to really hit them hard, especially maybe on that deeper level, that 20 to 30 yards. But if the Eagles are successful against the run, which I think that they should be, I know they've been tough against it lately, right? But if they're in like third and 5, and you think that's a great down for the Eagles to really, that's where I worry that Godwin is going to kill them all night long.
Oh, well, okay. Let's get into that before we get out of here. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because what they do is, so when they go 11 personnel, because they're playing more 11 than they did earlier. When they go 11, it's Evans and Godwin in the slot, and Trey Palmer, who I'm a huge fan of. He had a great training camp. He was a LSU transfer to Nebraska. I talked to Trey. He was on SiriusXM, at probably the Fancy Channel with us. And he told us a story about why he transferred. He was arguably the fastest receiver on tape for this draft. The problem with him is he's not part of the good hands people. His hands are inconsistent. They haven't been bad in the regular season. He had great training camp preseason. Well, I'm telling you, it's a track meet when he's out there. And the Eagles are not very fast. We've talked about it all season. Q&A have talked about it. Avant, Cosell, Clay, which aren't good. They're not fast on the deep end. And by the way, I don't know, he doesn't play very much. Remember David Moore years ago with the Seahawks?
Yes.
He was a great find for them at Seahawks at East Carolina. He's a shot play guy. This kid Tompkins made a play earlier season, I think. Tompkins or Jared made it. Probably Tompkins against the Eagles, number 83. The folks, they got to get home. The Eagles have a shot in this game. I'm probably one of the few people that filled up the area who think the Eagles actually have a shot if certain things happen. No chance if they can't get home. They've got to pressure Mayfield.
I agree. No shot if they can't do that.
It's over. Yeah. SOS to Patricia. Stop trying to do everything that's in your defense or some of it. Actually run a real blitz package and try to get to the quarterback. You actually might win this game.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it happens. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else defensively. No, I think we pretty much talked about that.
Monday.
We'll get more on Monday. All right, we'll get to our what the line and the spread is in a second. Our predictions really quick. Adam, even though the season might be over next week, it's like the travel season for us is about to pick up, right? Senior Bowl, Combine, owners meetings, all the circuit. None of us are going to have time to sit there and plan out and make meals. That's why we love HelloFresh. They deliver farm fresh food with pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to our doorstep. No wasting time at the grocery store, because America's #1 meal kit helps make home cooking easy, efficient, and affordable. With HelloFresh, the shopping is already done and the perfect amount of ingredients arrive with step-by-step recipe cards. It does not get more efficient than that. Plus, HelloFresh saves you time and money. It's 25% less expensive than takeout, so you get a home-cooked meal without digging deep into your wallet. And don't forget about all the great selections that they have, and really tasty too. Chicken, steak, seafood, vegetarian meals, all of it. So go to HelloFresh.com/50Eagles and use the promo code 50Eagles for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/50Eagles and use the code 50Eagles. It's all one word, 50 Eagles, for 50% off plus free shipping. Act now for America's #1 meal kit. All right. The Eagles are actually favorites in this game. I know we talk about, and the whole area talks about this game like, the Eagles can't do anything right, and how dare they even think that they can win this game, Adam, but they're actually favored on the road. I wonder how many road teams are favored this week. I'd have
Browns
to go look.
are, yeah, Browns are, and the Eagles.
Okay, Browns and Eagles. Eagles are 3-point favorites according to our friends at mybookie.ag, and kind of a low over-under for them at 44. What are you thinking?
The reason why the over-under is low is Hurts has got a bad finger. A.J. Brown may or may not play. That helps impacts it greatly.
Sure.
So what happened last week? Quez a positive. I'll give you a positive. Quez Watkins had a career game. He was very good. Ran better routes.
La-di-da.
I know. Because we bagged him since 2020. We told the truth on all of his issues, and I want to say something nice about the guy. I feel bad about it.
Okay.
Good for him. You know what? Good for him. He showed up. So anyway, all right. Let's go forward here. I've got it, and again, this is Friday morning here, and we've got a lot. We don't know if Brown's playing or not. I'm going because of the rain, because of Hurts' finger. I'm kind of agreeing with the line here. I've got it. Bucks 24, Eagles 20.
Bucks 24, Eagles 20. All right. So a little bit over, right?
And barely, depending which book you're looking at.
An outright win for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Adam, all week long, I have told myself, you remember the law of averages. Remember, just when you think a team is on its worst, we always say, remember. Don't forget these things. Well, guess what? I'm still going to pick the Bucks anyway. I'm going to pick the Bucks to win. I had 26-23. Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, because when you picked Dallas to win the division, I was stunned.
I hit that one, huh?
Because you didn't even believe it. You were like, well, I'm going with law of averages. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And it worked.
No, I went against the law, right? Because the law of averages would have said by this point, somebody's going to repeat.
I mean, no, you went with the streak.
I went with the historical trend, right, of nobody repeating as champion.
Yeah.
So now I still could be right because I picked the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East, but I picked the Eagles to go further in the playoffs. So I need the Eagles to really turn it around to be right. But we know Dallas's history in the playoffs recently is not very good. So if Dallas loses and the Eagles win, then I'm all set. My predictions came true.
I just want to say, look, on paper, it doesn't look good based on the way the Eagles are playing. However, if Patricia could get his act together, Baker Mayfield, you never know what you're getting from him. Plus, he's beat up physically. I'm looking for a reason just to at least feel like Eagles can pull off the game here. I'm not there yet. I don't know if I'll be there by Monday night, but we've got a couple days of practice here. And man, if A.J. Brown if I knew A.J. Brown would be playing A and B, he could look like himself. I'd feel a lot better about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't trust Patricia at this point, based on everything we've heard and everything we've seen and everyone we talked to, and our guys who work with us. So how is this happening?
Well, I agree. I keep saying all week long, I am not going to use this opportunity for the Eagles struggling to make the Bucks better than they are. I'm not going to make the Bucks better than they are. I'm not going to make the Bucks better than they are. But Adam, then I keep saying, but wait, the Eagles just lost to the Cardinals and the Giants. So do I have to make them better? They could just be the Bucks.
You're reading my mind because I'm very good at picking wild card games. The last 2 seasons, I'm either 5-1 or 4-2, and I always pick them for when I'm on Sports Grid against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
So I just. Because I always like to say, could I make a case for this team or that team? Like my upset special is the Rams. We usually pick one team in the wild card round to upset.
Yeah.
That would be the one. They're only getting 3 because people are wise to how good the Rams are playing. But this is to close this out, folks. It's tough to figure out a reason. They have a defense that's almost non-competitive. Offensively, they're inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting from that side of football. Again, the only thing they do well, consistently well, is play special teams. They do run the ball well when they decide they're going to run, but they're not. They don't have a commitment to it. You just never know when they're going to try to do it.
Right.
But the bottom line is, it's when their special teams, which was the worst of the 3 big parts of the team for the Eagles last year, when they were the worst, the Eagles were the best team in the National Football League. So you never know what's going to happen with the team. So there you go.
All right, cool. We'll be back Monday morning, and then, of course, again, Monday evening, and then late Monday evening to wrap it all up. You have been listening to Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the birds. Be sure to check out our friends at phlsportsnation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check them out at phlsportsnation.com and on Twitter at phlsportsnation.